Sean Preston, the editor of Open Pen magazine. It's a free short fiction magazine called Open Pen, of which I am the editor, and founder. Started it in 2010, first published in 2011. We released an anthology last year as well, which we've been trying to sell to people, asking for real life money.
So did you start it on your own or with other people?
Kind of started it with another guy. And part of the reason that I started it was so that he would have something to do after he finished uni, because he's not the most proactive of people. But then, true to form, he didn't really actually have much to do with it as it went on. He did at first, but he had other things he wanted to get on with, so sort of left alone with it. Which was fine, because actually it was good that I got it started then. You sort of have this idea that at some point in your life you're going to have all this time to do these projects, and actually that doesn't really work that way, does it? It's you just have to get on with it and make it work around work and all the other stuff.
So how often do you put out an issue?
So we like to think of ourselves as quarterly, but it's more like 3 times a year. Part of the reason for that is because we noticed that, so I guess a lot of our readership are students and young people, and we find that over summer they tend to go home, back out of London. Obviously initially we were just sort of London based magazine, so we tend to take breaks over summer, which is great because it means I get to take a break over summer. But it just, we found that it goes better during sort of term time. So it's about 3 or 4 a year.
So what was the process between deciding you wanted to do this and getting that first issue out on the shelves?
Just a massive gamble, because we had to obviously put our own money in. We weren't savvy enough to think about things like funding or anything like that. We wouldn't have had any idea how to go about it. I still don't actually, but so you sort of have to try and find a way of making it work, because we want it to be free as well. Part of the reason we wanted it to be free wasn't particularly altruistic. It was more that we didn't want to have to worry about any of the legal stuff about selling something, because we didn't know anything about it again. So I thought the best way to do it is to just sort of get something out there that's free, get it into bookshops. So I guess the thing that really took some doing was the cost of it, sort of saving for that. And we were, sort of an early version of crowdfunding, in that we asked people that we knew for money to do it, and we did that way. And I think the first couple of issues it went that way, and then we started to get a bit more traction, and we could do advertising, and we realised that if we do live events we can sell tickets. So we got to a point when we were sort of able to break even, I guess, or at least pay our way, which was good. And it's kind of been that way ever since. That we essentially, what we do is we go to print when timing's right and when we have the advertising in place. Yeah,
that's quite exciting. So it's sort of paying for itself.
Yeah, it just rolls over, and that's why I think a lot of people say, "Oh, what are you going to do next with it? Are you going to make it bigger? Are you going to, more pages, like more issues?" I'm like, well, we could do, but actually this works. Like, we're able to publish a certain amount of people every year, and we can do that because we're not don't aim too high with the magazine. I think putting out 3 or 4 sort of pamphlet-sized journals is not beyond us or beyond our reach. Whereas if we really went for it in terms of the magazine itself, I do worry that we go under, because obviously if you look around at a lot of other journals, they don't stick around because of that. I think maybe, which is, I get it. Like, it's good to aim high and try and do as much as you can, but I think for us, it's like I'm not using it as a tool to kind of get anywhere, so I'm more than happy to just let it roll over and keep on putting out fiction that we quite like.
That's good, to sort of be realistically achievable, so to continue doing something you know how to do rather than risk. Of course there's projects that can happen outside of that, and that's hopefully what we want to do. There's other things that we've, like last year of the anthology, and then in the next few years we're looking at doing some other things as well, but they will always remain separate from Open Pen, the magazine itself. I'm keen to keep that as it is. So what kind of people write for Open Pen?
That's changed quite a bit as well, because at first it was like, I think some people said we were like a hipster rag, and I really got my back up until I looked at the people that we were publishing and myself, and I was like, okay, no, of course, we're a fucking hipster rag. But so I think young people who are predominantly living in London was the sort of first few issues. And obviously after that, after we were able to stock in places around the country. It kind of moved on a little bit, and it's I think, like a lot of these magazines, very much a sort of new or aspiring writers magazine. So a lot of the readership are writers, and I think that's that's a strong part of the identity of Open Pen now, and that it's very much writers on their way up.
Mm-hmm. Have you found that has there been any difficulty in transitioning from entirely based in London into distributing?
Yeah, on the distribution side of it, totally. Because when we first started distributing Open Pen, it was me and a few others, and we'd go around to the bookshops and we'd have that sort of relationship with the bookshops, and our personal relationship. And in that, you're kind of able to have an idea about stock and where it's going and that sort of thing. And it did feel like a lot more of a personal operation then. But obviously, as big as you get, it's not. Mm-hmm. It's not really an option anymore, which is great, obviously. But like, I can't go to Edinburgh every every issue and talk to them and stuff. So you have to kind of build new relationships in a different way, and obviously a lot of that means email, internet, and trying to stay, because we weren't really bothered with things like social media to begin with. In our naivety, we weren't really interested, and obviously now we realise the importance of that if you really want to get the word out there and get the magazine out there. So a lot of our relationships are based on social media, or just dealing with bookshops and stockists online.
How would you describe the content of the magazine if you had to sum it up?
So recently, that's changed a bit as well, obviously, but we recently started calling it Fiction with Something to Say. And I think in that I mean it's fiction with obviously a variety to it. And as you've probably seen in the magazine, there is a variety to the sort of fiction we put out there. But I think the thing that binds them is that all of them are writers that are sort of trying to say something about themselves, or say something about not necessarily current affairs, but things that are sort of socially relevant. Mm-hmm. And I think whilst that's not, it can be done in a really sort of base way, or it can be done in a more satirical way. But I think that's become a part of who we are as well.
How tied do you think the content of the magazine is to your personality as the editor and founder?
So again, at first, massively so, because it was very much a case of I can't really find anything in bookshops, or maybe I wasn't looking hard enough, but I can't really find the sort of magazines that I want to read that are relevant to my life as at that time London male in his mid-20s. I think that's changed now because the team's bigger, so the stories that you read in Open Pen might not be immediately relevant to me, but they'll be relevant to someone in the who's on the reading team. But at first, definitely, it was a massive reflection, I think, of my own reading habits and the kind of stuff that I wanted to write as well. Mm-hmm. I think of your piece that we put in, actually, it was probably early on. It was like issue 8, so a while ago now. So that sort of thing was the kind of humorous but interesting and again relevant story that you didn't really see too often. You might see it now and again as sort of maybe like Vice, something like that, or those like maybe a blog somewhere. But at that point we weren't really interested in web publishing. But I was keen to get that sort of thing out, and I think I try and do it. I still try and do that. I think I carve the magazine up into things that the whole team was liked, and then I try and squeeze in one story that I selfishly liked. Mm-hmm. So there is a little bit of me still in there, and I know that is totally selfish, but I figure it's good to keep a little bit of yourself in there.
Mm-hmm. How important do you feel ideas of community are to sort of create
again, the magazine grows up with viewers. I've been doing it for 7 years, so at 25 I was like, well, fuck the community, I've got no interest in whatever that is. And you sort of come from a place of distrust for whatever the community was, but yeah, now it's again a massive part of what we do. It's because there's lots of people out there trying to do the right thing as well, I think, and a lot of people trying to do their own thing, and I think that's quite respectable, and it's a good community to be a part of. And that's not just the sort of indie presses and small publishers I'm talking about, but also the people at the writing community as well. We can't shun them because they're our readers. It'd be ridiculous to do so. I think that really shows through that when we do our events and stuff, and there's just such a good mix there. But all of them people who are kind of genuinely interested in doing something new or important or relevant again. So.